Hello, this is Debbie from cariadcards.co, and today I'm going to show you how I made this card. I'm not sure whether you can see it, it depends how the light catches it. I can see it very well in daylight, but I'm doing this under artificial lighting. This has been heat embossed with silver embossing powder, and it really does shimmer and shine when the light catches it. Now, I've been working with blackberry bliss, and this is what will happen when you use the ink if you're not careful and you get it all over you. It will come off, but for now I've got pink fingers to match my card. Okay, now I started off with a 6" by 6" card blank, which I've just folded. I've got these 4 pieces of card here. Piece of blackberry bliss, which I've cut to 14 centimetres by 14 centimetres. I'll put the imperial measurements on my blog along with the metric measurements. I've cut a piece of whisper white card to 13.5 centimetres by 13.5 centimetres. Another piece of blackberry bliss to 9 centimetres by 9 centimetres, and a piece of whisper white to 8.5 centimetres by 8.5 centimetres. That's so that they will all layer up together. Oh, excuse me. Right, now I'm going to do the heat embossing first, simply because I know that if I get ink all over me, I'm going to get it everywhere. So I thought, well, I'll get this done out the way. So you need, if you have one, it really is a good idea to get one to use your embossing buddy, just to go over your card. That will remove any static or any finger marks that you happen to get on it. The stamp set that I'm going to be using is the 4 feathers, and for this background heat embossed image I've used this stamp here. I wanted quite an open stamp, and I'm just going to use Versamark ink. If you're heat embossing, you really do need a specialist embossing ink. Okay, now I'm just going to go round and put this sort of randomly. What I don't want is everything to be in the same direction. So all the way around. You can't see the ink from where you are. I can just see it very vaguely. You don't need to worry about it drying. This is brilliant stuff, and it will stay tacky for a good while. Certainly plenty long enough for you to get your embossing powder on. Okay, I've got a piece of paper that I'm just going to pop my card onto. I'm going to sprinkle the embossing powder over. There, perfect. Okay, just tap it just to get any loose powder off, and do put your powder back in your pot. Oops. Don't spill it all over like I just have. Right, all I need to do now is to take my heat tool and just go over and heat this up. And you'll see it start to change as you heat it. There we are. Okay, hopefully the light will catch that. So lovely and sparkly. I do love heat embossing. Okay, I'm going to pop that over on one side, and now we're going to start work on the feathers. So I've just got a piece of whisper white card there. I'm using this stamp here, and I don't know whether you noticed before, but there's an ombre effect, which means it goes up in shading. It's not a complete ombre because normally that goes from dark through to light. I did try that, but I just preferred the darker there, medium there, and a slightly darker there, but that's the darkest end. So to do that, I've got blackberry bliss, rose red, and rich raspberry. And I took my stamp, and what I did was just inked up the end in rich raspberry. Then I brought in my rose red, and I don't know how well you can see this, but I'm inking up, sort of joining the rich raspberry and going down. So most of that is now inked with rich raspberry at the end. If you don't think you've got enough, you can just go and pop a bit more back on. And then Blackberry Bliss, and just don't get your fingers in it, be warned. Okay, and Blackberry Bliss I put at the bottom just because it was the darkest colour and it made sense to me to have it at the bottom. So what I then did was pop my stamp down. I don't know if you're picking up all that rain on the camera, on the video. Okay, so you can see now we've got a very dark area here, we've got the rose red in the middle and the rich raspberry at the end. Now I just need that to dry. I'll bring in my Big Shot. I'm going to cut this out using my Big Shot. Oop. Dear, fingers and thumbs. And the Four Feathers has an accompanying framelit set that you can also buy. You can buy it as a bundle and you get 15% off if you buy it as a bundle. And these will match up perfectly with the larger and the smaller stamps. I've got my magnetic platform and my very, very well used plates. Now I'm going to pop that over there. I obviously want the larger die cutter. Now on almost everything you do with this magnetic platform, it will hold it beautifully in place and it won't shift an inch. It does hold this, but I've just found that there is a risk sometimes, especially when I put my next plate on, it can shift slightly. And I have read on the forums that some people have had a job cutting with their die cutter. There's nothing wrong with the die cutter, I think it's just because it's so slim. So what I've got is just a little bit of what's called low tack tape, which means that I can pop it on. It's not going to stick to the card, it's not going to stick to anything, but it will just hold that in place. Now you don't normally need to do this at all with your magnetic plate, and you can get away with it, but I just want to make sure I get a good die cut. Okay, so just take my plates away, take that out, and I'll move my Big Shot out of the way. Now this low tack tape comes off fairly easily. In fact, I'm able to push the die cut through without it sticking. You see, it's not damaged that in any way, shape or form, and I've got a perfect die cut. Okay, now to save you having to watch me do 3 of those, because once you've seen it once, you know what I'm going to be doing, I've already prepared 2. And the final thing I'm going to do with these is I've just got my Blackberry Bliss and a finger sponge dauber that I'm just going to pop on, pick up a little bit of the ink and just very gently go around the outer edge. With any matching framelit that you get, you're going to get a little bit of white around the edge, which is fine, but I just find if I go around, it just softens it a little bit. I'm also going to go around the edges of this. Okay. Right, and the only other place I need to do this is just, I don't need to, I'm just going to. Why not? Okay, that's everything inked up. I'll put my ink away before I go and stick my finger into the middle of it. Now start assembling the card. Just worried I'm going to get a big purple splodgy finger in the middle of something. I've just got a bit of paper and card glue. You can use whatever you want. As I say every time I make my cards, whatever works for you. I just like that I do have a bit of a second chance to move things if I don't get them on how I want them first time. So I've got the first layer on, I'm just going to pop a bit of glue. You can use snail. And then put that layer on top, making sure it's as straight as you can get it. Okay, and adhere this one to here. It's just really an assembly job now. Okay, pop that one onto there. Right, now I need to put my feathers onto my card, and I'm going to have them going in opposite directions, and a couple of them I'm going to have going just slightly over the edge of the card, just because I think it gives a bit more interest. When you've decided where you want them, get yourself your dimensionals, and either starting at the centre one or one of the outside ones. I find it's better to either do the centre first and then you can see where the outside ones go, or do the two outside ones and then the centre, rather than trying to go down and do them in order. Okay, now that one was going to go there, and then I'll do my final one. As I said, there's a lot of assembly work in this once you've got the pieces, but it's such a lovely card. This one I'm not going to take over the edge. And then some dimensionals on the back here. You could use this for so many different occasions: birthdays, get wells, thank you. Lots of things, loads of different colour choices you can make. Okay, there's the dimensionals on. So just get that roughly as close as you can to the centre. I'm sitting a bit back, I think I might have got that a little bit squiffy, but we'll pretend I've got it straight. And then the last thing I did was I just stamped a little sentiment out. I didn't want anything that was too big, so just a little sentiment that I punched out with my word window punch, and then I used my modern label punch on Blackberry Bliss, stuck that on there, and then I'm just going to pop, oh, let's get a bit of this edge of a dimensional there. Oh, I think my phone's ringing. And pop that down there, make sure we've got it in the centre. And there we have completed a 4 feathers card in Blackberry Bliss with lovely silver embossing on it. Thank you very much for joining me. Goodbye from me, Debbie, at cariadcards.co.